Hey friends, it's Courtney. Today I want to talk about wedding macros and how to track macros when you're at events such as weddings or similar events. So I'm in my late 20s and I'm currently going through the years where everyone's getting married. I've gone to 4 weddings this year so far. It's the end of September. I've been to 4 in 2016. I know there's more coming up in the next couple years. One thing I've learned that all weddings have in common are their dinner plates. 90% of the time, for the most part, you're going to get the exact same thing, or at all weddings. As a nutrition coach, a question that I get asked a lot is, how do I stay on track when I don't know what's being served? So from personal experience, I know what's being served. I know what to expect. When I go to weddings, I kind of pre-plan things that I know that I'm going to have, put them into my Macros Plus app, and then I can stay on track. So I wanted to create a video today talking about tips or steps that you can take in order to track your macros at events like this to make it more of a macro success. So I have 7 points. Hopefully I can run through this fairly quickly so I'm not rambling on too much. Please know that this entire video is saved as a blog as well. So if you want to go to my website, CourtneyForLife.com/thoughts, I do have this posted as a blog post as well, so you can have it for quick reference. So point number 1 is to ask. That's going to be the most reliable way to know what you're going to have. Some RSVP cards will have a certain section where you can indicate either plate choices or if you have any dietary restrictions. So from that, you should be able to get some kind of guess of what's going to be served. As someone who can't eat certain foods, this is very important to me. What I'm going to have, make sure that I actually can eat at the event, right? I don't know what's on the wedding based off the RSVP card. I'm going to ask. There's no harm in asking, right? That goes with anything in life. Clearly, the bride and groom are going to know what's being served at their wedding. If you're not close with them or you don't know them, ask someone else that's either in the wedding party or parents of the couple that's getting married, because I can almost guarantee you somebody's going to know. Sorry, I will guarantee you that somebody is going to know what's on the menu. Point number 2, check online. Some venues, depending on where the reception is held, will have their menu online, and it might not show exactly everything, or there might be different options that the couple can choose from, but that's going to give you a better guess of what you can expect to have. So check online. I guarantee there's not going to be any nutrient information, like the macros won't be listed there, but at least you can get a ballpark, right? And that will help you better plan ahead successfully. Point number 3, from experience. We know that there's going to be a few courses at the wedding, right? So you're going to have your appetizers or the little finger foods that are going to be served before the wedding. I don't know what that's going to be there. That's almost different at every single wedding. So whatever the couple wants. During your actual course, the sit-down meal, you're going to get a salad. 99% of the time, you're going to get a salad. It's going to be a Caesar salad or a garden salad. If not, it's going to be a soup, depending on the season, the time of year, the couple, or the venue. Again, depending on the venue and the couple's family background, you may have a pasta course. This is going to be some kind of pasta served with either a red sauce or a white sauce. Plan accordingly. If you don't like pasta, you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes, and I'm a huge person of asking. If I can't have something, I'm going to ask for a substitute. More often than not, they're going to be able to accommodate, and again, there's nothing wrong with asking. Now, the main course is actually where this will be benefiting you, and I am able to help out. 90% of the time, you're going to either have chicken or beef. That happens at every wedding. It's very common. It's easy to make, chicken or beef. Usually the chicken's going to be a breast, sometimes with a light sauce on it. Again, I don't like sauce, so I just make sure that they modify and they don't put the sauce on. The beef could be a steak, maybe a roast, or something in between there. I'm not a huge steak connoisseur, so I don't know all those special cuts, whether it's a T-bone or a flank or whatever the case is. I'm going to make an extremely safe assumption and say that you're going to get a 4 to 5 ounce portion sizing. I think that's general, that's usually what's being served. It's a good portion size, it's hearty, it's nice. So when entering it into your food app, like my favorite app, MyMacros Plus, you want to ensure that you're entering the meat as a cooked option. Raw meat weighs differently and measures differently than cooked meat. So make sure, and this goes for any day that you're tracking, you always want to make sure that your meat is entered cooked. So there's your protein. Then you have your carbs. As much as I love my veggies, I feel like weddings don't give you nearly enough vegetables. You're gonna get like 1 or 2 little asparagus spears, a little broccoli tree, maybe a couple slices of pepper, zucchini, and one of those sad little solo string beans. I find that happens more often than not. So your total carbs isn't going to come from your veggie source. It's just not gonna happen. I usually overestimate my carbs for safe purposes, usually end up entering something like 200 grams of steamed broccoli. I'm not going to start getting picky in terms of what exactly each food is. I'm just going to kind of overestimate, guess, put a safe and general assumption. Hopefully you get some kind of potato with your meal too. I'm not sure if that's going to be roasted or mashed potatoes. That will absolutely be different. This is where most of your carbs are going to come from. Mashed or roasted potatoes will make a difference, but if I'm going to assume a safe portion size, let's say about another 150 to 200 grams of potatoes. Again, enter them as your food appears on the plate. So if it's mashed potatoes, make sure you're entering it as mashed potatoes, because that, again, will measure out differently than roasted potatoes. Fats. You usually aren't going to get something specific for your fat source on your plate. Like, you're not going to get a slab of butter unless you add that in extra. But I can guarantee you that every single thing in the wedding will be cooked in fats, whether it's an oil, butter, something like that. So whenever I'm completely unaware of what to expect at a wedding, I usually plan anywhere from 15 to 20 of fats extra after the meat is being entered into MyMacros Plus. So if I was to cap this off and provide some kind of general macro count for an average wedding, this is what I would assume. About 4.5 ounces of roasted chicken, 4.5 ounces of roasted beef, again, both of these are cooked, 200 grams of steamed broccoli, 150 grams of roasted potatoes, and I'll throw in 10 extra grams of fat just in case. I'm basing off of 75 grams of protein, 45 grams of carbs, 35 grams of fat. In my opinion, this is way more than enough, and I usually save a large amount of my protein and fats for these kind of wedding events and bigger meals, because I don't eat bread, so most of my carb source is going to come from the veggies or lack thereof at the wedding. Your dessert's going to be optional, and you can clearly see what's on the plate, and that's usually something that's going to vary from wedding to wedding. So if you see a slice of cheesecake on your plate, then enter in a slice of cheesecake. Just make sure when you enter something into your food app, like MyMacros Plus, you enter it in accurately. So sometimes you might see a little pop-up or an option on your food app that's going to say slice of cheesecake, but if you actually look at the details, it only shows total calories, and it doesn't show your protein, carbs, fats breakdown. Now, remember that when we are doing flexible dieting, we are tracking protein, carbs, and fats, and calories don't necessarily matter, or that's not the science of what we're tracking. So make sure that it is accurate. Make sure there is fiber and some sugar in your foods, and probably some sodium as well. Point number 4 is modify. So like I've already mentioned, as someone who has food allergies, there's some things I actually cannot eat. Not just I don't want to eat, but things I actually can't eat. So again, we modify. And I'll use myself as an example for this. So if they're serving a Caesar salad at the wedding, I'm going to ask for a garden salad instead, or another alternative. I'm not a big dressing person, so I usually go for plain Jane on that, or I'll ask for some balsamic vinaigrette on the side so I can control what goes onto my plate. I really don't like my lettuce swimming, so I'm very picky on how much salad dressing I actually use, which usually only tends to be about half of what they serve. I'm fine with eating all the meats and veggies, but if they're going to give me mashed potatoes, I'm just going to ask for extra veggies on the side. I can't eat dairy, so if they have mashed potatoes with milk or butter in it, then I'm not going to be able to eat it, so I just ask for an alternative. I usually don't take dessert. I don't care for it personally, unless it's just fruit. So again, because I can't have dairy, I'm not going to have dessert most of the time, because dairy is going to be in the plate or in the thing that's being served. Again, it comes down to the first point that I mentioned, which is ask. You don't know unless you ask. Point number 5 is alcohol. Yay! So we know that there's going to be alcohol at the wedding. Whether or not it's an open bar, I really don't care. Now, although I don't drink, a lot of my clients and most of society does. So this is what I've learned and apply with my clients for drinking alcohol and how to track it. Please remember, this isn't the perfect formula for alcohol. and it shouldn't be used on a daily basis as a substitute, but it's definitely a good place to start. So let's say, for example, we have 5 ounces of Pinot Noir, which is a red wine, and let's say for a glass or the 5 ounces, there's 125 calories. You have 2 options of where you can take these calories from, either your carbs or your fats. So option 1 would be carbs. So we know that 1 gram of carbs has 4 calories. So if we take 125, which is the wine calories, divide it by 4, it would be 31 grams of carbs for your 5 ounces of wine. So you can take that. Or you can take it from your fats. So we know that 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So if we take 125, again, the wine calories, divide it by 9, your fat calories, it would be 14 grams of fat for the 5 ounces of wine. So you have 2 different options. There's pros and cons. Obviously, you usually don't have as many fat calories in a day than you do carbs, but the carbs take up a lot more. So it comes down to whatever you want to choose. And really, it's not a big deal. Number 6 is the midnight bar. So what they usually serve at a midnight bar is unknown to me. It's usually something that's really more unique and custom to what the couple likes. So unfortunately, I can't help you with that point. Number 7, remember that it's just one night. And just like one good meal isn't going to make you lose all this fat, one bad meal isn't going to make you gain all this fat. For my clients, I always tell them to be mindful of what they consume and how they feel. If you're going overboard, expect to feel a little bloated the next day. Always drink lots of water and remember to have fun. Tracking calories at a wedding or at an event like a social event isn't something that you want to do. It's totally fine. This is just another option that if you do want to stay on track and try really hard at a wedding to stay on track and count your macros, I hope that this video does benefit you and does serve purpose. So thank you for listening. Have an awesome afternoon, day, whatever you're doing, and good luck at upcoming weddings. Take care. Bye.